In the final chaotic days of World War II, as the Third Reich crumbled and Allied forces pressed ever closer to the heart of Nazi Germany, one of Hitler's most feared lieutenants was on the run. Ernst Kaltenbrunner, towering at 6'4" with a jagged scar slashing across his face, had spent years in the shadows, orchestrating terror as head of the Reich Main Security Office. Now, hunted and desperate, he sought refuge among the snowbound peaks of Austria, a last-ditch hope that the mountains could shield him from justice. Born in Austria in 1903, Kaltenbrunner's early years were marked by ambition and a fervent embrace of Nazi ideology. Trained as a lawyer, he quickly abandoned the rule of law for the ruthless logic of dictatorship. Early conspiracies against Austria's government landed him in prison, but did nothing to dim his fanaticism. Instead, they forged his reputation for loyalty and brutality. After the Nazi annexation of Austria in 1938, he rose with frightening speed, helping to build the machinery of terror in his homeland and overseeing the creation of Mauthausen, one of the regime's most notorious concentration camps. By 1942, the assassination of Reinhard Heydrich, the infamous Butcher of Prague, created a vacancy at the very top of the Nazi security apparatus. Kaltenbrunner stepped in, becoming chief of the Gestapo, SD, and criminal police. The machinery beneath his command was vast and remorseless. He coordinated with Adolf Eichmann, his childhood friend, to orchestrate the deportation and murder of hundreds of thousands of Jews, particularly in Italy and Hungary. Under his watch, the Holocaust's machinery ran with lethal efficiency. Yet as Allied armies advanced and Nazi defeat became inevitable, Kaltenbrunner's world collapsed. Still, he remained loyal to Hitler, celebrating the Führer's last birthday in the ruins of Berlin before slipping away into the Alps. Nazi propaganda had long spoken of a national redoubt, a mythical fortress in the mountains where the regime's leaders would make a final heroic stand. For Kaltenbrunner, the myth became reality, at least for a while. But the Allies were relentless. The U.S. Counterintelligence Corps, led by Special Agent Robert E. Madison, learned Kaltenbrunner was hiding in the picturesque region around Gmunden and Alt-Aussee. Their search was methodical and unyielding. Interrogating his wife, Elizabeth, Madison learned that Kaltenbrunner had held secret meetings in Strobel before vanishing deeper into the wilderness. Locals whispered of a remote hut high in the Totzgebirgen Mountains. Guided by Austrian mountaineers and accompanied by American soldiers, Madison braved avalanches, darkness, and exhaustion as the pursuit wound through treacherous terrain. Finally, after hours of arduous climbing, they reached the Wildensee Hütte, a lonely refuge cloaked in silence. Peering inside, Madison found the monster reduced to a fugitive, no longer surrounded by sycophants or protected by armed guards. Kaltenbrunner was gaunt and defeated. A letter from his mistress convinced him that resistance was futile. Without a fight, he surrendered to the men who had tracked him across Europe. Kaltenbrunner's capture marked the end of one of the last great Nazi manhunts. At Nuremberg, he would answer for his crimes: genocide, mass murder, and a reign of terror that scarred a continent. His execution in 1946 closed the chapter on a man whose name had once inspired fear across Europe. In the lonely silence of the Alps, justice had finally caught up with Ernst Kaltenbrunner.